to the C-suite. I'm Danielle Jaworski. In this segment, there's been a lot of talk about the She-cession and the great resignation that has happened over the last 18 months. There's a lot of conversation now about really having women return into the workforce. Is it something that companies should be just quickly trying to get into, or what should they be looking at to really best support women as they return to the workforce? Here to have this conversation with us is Dr. Melissa Horne. She is the Director of Client Experience at Dialectic Inkwell. So welcome, Dr. Horne, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Danielle. It's great to be here.
I'm really excited to have this conversation today because, again, there's lots of movement. If you've been looking and reading and hearing in the news about this whole return to the office, and especially with the amount of women who lost their jobs or had to switch things up over the last 18 months, this could be a time of excitement, of some fears and frustrations, anxiety. A lot of things are happening right now. Kind of what are you seeing when there's conversations around returning women to the office, not just the workforce?
Yeah. I think something to think about is that, prior to the pandemic, we had not, we were still lacking gender equity in the workforce. Because of the pandemic, we saw almost 100,000 women exit the workforce. That was in March, and that's 10 times the amount of men. And for many women, this wasn't an option, it was the only choice. And that's because, they had caregiving responsibilities, whether it was their children, whether it was elder care. And so as we think about what does it look like to go back into the office, because I know there's a lot of folks thinking, I like being at home now. I've found new flexibility. I'm able to integrate my work and my life in a way that I haven't been before. And I think if we want to retain women, if we want to attract women back to our offices, we really need to think about how do we incorporate that into our offerings. So part of this is around thinking about time off and flexible work across all sectors. So definitely in offices. For sure. And if you are a large corporation and you've got, frontline workers who are women, thinking about how can you attract them back as well? Thinking about, can you offer them the same types of flexible work as you do your office staff? And there's creative ways to do that. Thinking about, where you're looking for women. So one of the things that we know is that not just women left, but racialized women left the workplace in larger numbers than non-racialized women. And ensuring that our workforce is looking more diverse and that it is more equitable going forward, we're going to have to go out and get creative of where we hire our talent as well. And so there's a lot of different ways that companies can do that as well. And it means being proactive instead of reactive.
And looking at so from women's perspective who are returning into the workforce or into the office, what kind of fears or anxieties might they be having and experiencing right now when they know they have to return, if that's what they want to do?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that I'm hearing is the difference between, or we're thinking about a hybrid world. I don't think that we're all going back to the workplace. And I think what I hear a lot about is people are worried that it's not going to be fair. What happens if I choose, because it fits my life, to work more from home than I do in the office? Am I going to be passed up for promotion? Am I going to miss out on certain opportunities because I'm not in the office? And what I think employers need to do is really communicate the ways of working. And so what I'm seeing is that some folks, they'll have an all Zoom meeting. So even though you're in the office, and there's some folks working from home, everyone will join in a Zoom so that there's not these side conversations that are happening. I think ensuring that promotion and performance reviews are as objective as possible. Again, we have to think about, are we favoring people who show up into the office because we can see what they're doing, or are we passing over folks who choose to work from home? And I think at the end of the day, setting expectations with employers around what are the goals. We've learned throughout the pandemic that we have been really, really productive. Regardless of all the things that have been happening, we've been more productive than ever. And so, reinforcing the idea of these goal-oriented performance metrics versus, time spent in the office, time logged on, we're getting the work done. And it's because we have that flexibility that we're able to do that.
Almost sounds like when you look at a DEI perspective, that there's a lot of change happening around the equity and the equality as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think part of the thing too is that when we think about equity, it's ensuring that everyone has what they need to be successful. So what I need to be successful in my workplace may not be what you need. I use this really, really funny example, but like, not everyone needs a pencil. And if you give me a pencil and I can't use it, because of whatever, it's not going to be beneficial to me. But it's talking about and asking your employees, really, what do they need to be successful? And maybe that means working different hours than 9 to 5, but knowing that offering them that support is going to make them successful in the workplace.
It sounds like these are very different conversations than a lot of companies may not have had before, or they haven't had the very focus to get these really key outcomes from it. What can organizations do to best support having these conversations and also support the leaders to lead them again, in a fair and equitable way?
Yeah, I mean, I think just putting out there that and over communicating and saying, we're really thinking about going to a hybrid model or coming back to work. How's everyone feeling about that? And being honest, if you're a leader, being honest that I'm not sure how this is going to be. And, if you're anxious about it, being open about your anxiety, and, being clear around what the company policies are going to be, opening up for feedback from employees around what would they like to see, what would be, fair and equitable to them. Is it a couple days a week? Is it 3, 4? Is it how do they feel about it? Because I think the more you can communicate and show that you're open and receptive, having that dialogue is going to help set expectations for everyone.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Horne, for being here today talking about this, because it's a big issue happening right now, and to best support women as they return to the workforce and the office, and then allow them to bring their best selves to work. These are great conversations that leaders and organizations can start having. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Danielle. Appreciate it.